Today, I'm going to show you how a can of Coke can give you better results in the gym than taking steroids. No, this isn't a clickbait title. This is a real thing with legitimate science to back it up. So if you want to understand how this works, watch to the end of the video. So if you're anything like me and you've been training for multiple years, you've tried multiple methods and techniques to give you better results in the gym, especially if you want to stay natural. You don't want to take steroids like me, never have, never will, and definitely not going to proclaim fake natty status. And I found the best technique by far is cooling the core body temperature. And I found this method from my good old pal, Andrew Huberman. Okay, we're not really good old pals. We don't know each other, he doesn't know me, but I watch his podcast and I think he's awesome. And he says keeping your core temperature cool enough during workout is probably the most important factor for performance in the gym. Even more important than sleep, because keeping your body cool enough and that at the right temperature actually affects when and how well you sleep. To understand why it's so important to keep your core body temperature so cool, you have to understand why muscle fails. You see, in contracting a muscle, the muscle produces ATP. Now, when the core temperature heats up and it gets too hot, which that range of temperature is actually very small, it's 39, 40 degrees. Once it reaches that and above, that's it, the muscle will fail. ATP won't be generated anymore and you won't be able to contract the muscle. You won't be able to lift, you won't be able to run anymore. So Huberman says, if you can keep the core temperature cool enough during a workout, you can just go and increase reps by a crazy amount. But don't just take my word for it. Here is the horse's mouth telling you.
So what you're trying to do is keep the portal so you can cool the core temperature. And the reason it works for performance is that muscular contractions, the reason you fail, like the muscle failure, is because the muscle actually heats up locally, and an enzyme called pyruvate kinase is involved in generating ATP for muscular contractions. And it has a very limited temperature window. So that muscle gets too hot and you start failing. You cool and you can just do more and more and more repetitions. And so some of the examples are pretty crazy. Guy from the 49ers went from doing 140 dips to 600 dips in a single session.
Now what's been identified is that there are three parts of the body, three parts of your skin called glabrous skin that essentially enable you to pass cool temperatures to the core of your body. Now these three areas are where you have no hair on the body. They are your palms of your hands, bottom of your feet, and your forehead. Now, I'm not going to break down the science fully, but essentially what it is, these three areas have a very unique vascular structure called AVAS, arteriovenous anastomosis. Man, I hope I got that one right. And like I said, essentially what that means is basically this vasculature allows cool air, cool blood to be passed from, let's say, the palms of your hands all the way to your core body. Now, what scientists have developed, and in the video that I showed you there, just a small clip of Huberman, and I put a link to the video of Huberman using this technology, they've invented these hand cooling mitts. So what you do, you plug in the mitts and you put your hand in between each set for 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, whatever your resting time is, and you put it in and you go back and you can just go and go and go. You can do more reps for a longer amount of time. It's actually insane. Now, what I've come across is you don't need to buy these mitts. Okay, these mitts are, I think they're on the market now, relatively expensive. You don't need to pay money for that. You can have a way cheaper option, which is what I mentioned before, the humble can of Coke. Now, it doesn't have to be a can of Coke. It can be a cool bottle of water. It can be an ice pack that you keep in one of those sort of picnic lunch boxes that keeps things cool and so forth. And you take that to the gym. And essentially what you do is you hold on to it. You hold on to this, let's say the can of Coke, in between your sets. And you pass it if it's too cold. Now this is another important factor that Huberman mentions, is if it's too cold, what will happen is the blood will restrict and it won't pass to the core. So if you find it's like a super cold can of Coke, or the ice pack is too cold at the time, you can just pass it hand to hand, right? And that won't allow the blood to constrict and it'll allow that cool blood to pass to your core. Now the results on this are absolutely phenomenal. Okay, Huberman mentioned one study that they did, and they had a group of people that could do 100 pull-ups max for total repetitions across a workout. And they came back after one session using this, after just one session, using the cooling technique with the cooling mitt. And they were able to do 180 dips, increase from one session 100 to 180 dips. That's almost twice as much. Now, here's another crazy result. They continue to use these group of people and track them over the next couple of weeks, and they went from 100 dips, like they started off with, and after a couple of weeks of training their dips, they went up to a total of 600 dips using the cooling method with the hands in between each set. That's absolutely insane, crazy results that beats steroids. Okay, they tested this group of people, the people with the cooling their hands down in between each sets. They tested them against people taking androgynous testosterone. Okay, essentially steroids, testosterone, TRT, whatever you want to call it. And they blew them out of the water. And I will post all the links of these studies and these videos of Huberman talking about this in the description down below. So these results are absolutely phenomenal. And even in my own training, I've seen the results are crazy. Now I train here at home in this makeshift playroom / gym here with the you see here with the pull-up bar and the rings, okay? And the problem I have here in Cyprus is, living here in Cyprus in the Mediterranean, it gets freaking hot in the summer, okay? We're very often having 40-degree days, high 30 degrees. So it reaches summertime and my training really suffers. Now it started at the beginning of this summer. I was just hitting the summer. It was getting too hot in here. I don't have air conditioning, and I couldn't even hit on my first set of the first exercise of the day. I couldn't hit my usual number. My target was down. I was around about 2 to 3 reps down on what I could hit. So for example, on my push-ups on the rings, I'm doing about a set of 19. I was hitting about 16, sometimes 17 on my first set. So I couldn't even reach my actual potential, my muscle, my body potential that I was doing from the previous weeks because it was getting too hot. Came across this podcast from Andrew Huberman, used the hand cooling technique, and it blew me away. Not only on my first set did I hit my usual target, I hit 25 repetitions on my first round. And then what was even more amazing to me was the following set was 25. And my next set was 25. Because usually what happens is each set gets less and less and less, especially in this heat. I was doing from 17, I went down to 14, and then I went down, my last repetition was 11. That's a big drop because the heat was just too much. I was doing more reps on each set. I was doing 3 sets of 25 reps. This blew me away. This was on my first session, and this sold me on this idea. And what I was doing was getting the can of Coke, and I was just passing it between my hands back and forth. And it proves to me that you don't need these cooling mitts that are being sold. This is the cheap option. Okay, so for me, this is how I train here in this little makeshift home gym. Right, it's easy for me. When I'm home and the fridge is here, you just go back and forth between the 2 cans, or I've got a can of Coke and the ice pack. So the can of Coke lasts about 10 minutes, the ice pack obviously a little bit longer, and it's fine, it's easy for me. For those of you asking how to do this at the gym, most places would have a fridge there that you'll be able to place one of the cans in and just go back and forth with the cans if you talk to them. If you don't have that, I suggest getting one of those sort of little ice pack, cooling pack things that they have. Usually for like people pack for when they go on picnics or and hikes or whatever, and that would just keep the cans cool, and you just go back and forth taking them out of that pack, and that is the cheap option. Because even though that's not the ideal scenario with the mitts is at the absolute perfect temperature. Again, you don't need it, right? You really don't need it. It's not a necessary amount of money. We don't have to be absolutely perfect with the temperature here to get incredible results. So just stick to the can of Coke, the ice pack, the water bottle, whatever it is, and that's the best way you can do it. The results have been absolutely phenomenal. It's blown me away. Now, I'm not trying to get huge, I'm not trying to get big, I'm not trying to get super strong. I'm just trying to stay genuinely fit and healthy, but these results are absolutely phenomenal. And here's the other thing, and then what Huberman mentioned is that people can do this test with the cooling system in one round. So they took those people that went from 100 dips to 180 in one session, and then they came back without the cooling system, and they were able to do close to the 180 that they did before because the body had adapted. So you can essentially do the hand cooling system for one workout, and you just get phenomenal gains even for the next workout, even in the next few workouts, even if you don't cool your hands or anything like that. But why not just keep using it? You just get incredible gains after incredible gains after incredible gains. And this has been an absolute game changer for me. Now, it's also a game changer in terms of recovery, because if you can recover really, really well and as quick as possible, then, well, you'll perform even better the next time in the gym. Now, what's really common across the fitness community, the fitness and health community, is ice baths. I see people jumping in ice baths straight after workouts, or a few hours after workouts, or getting cold showers and so forth in the evening of the workout. Problem with that is it actually can inhibit a lot of the recovery processes in the body. It can actually inhibit the inflammation in the body. Now, reducing the inflammation generally for your health is great, but if you want to get stronger and you want to build muscle, it's not necessarily the best. If you're inhibiting that inflammatory response of the body, you're probably not going to recover as quick as possible. What they found with the hand cooling system, or cool the hands, cool the bottom of the feet, the forehead, is you can essentially bypass that. You can keep that inflammatory response. You can keep the great natural response of the body from working out, and cool your body temperature as well. So using the hand and cooler system straight out, not just during your workout, but straight after your workout, and continue that for about 5-10 minutes after your workout, and then come back about another half an hour later, and you've recovered way quicker than ever. And then of course sleep is so important. Everyone knows this. It's a great performance enhancer. Before you go to bed, I've seen this the last few weeks, again, jump on the hand cooling before you go to bed, cool your body temperature down, your body's ready for sleep, gets to the optimal core temperature for sleep. And I've slept amazingly since doing this. And honestly, my training sessions, even though I'm not aiming for optimization, even though I'm not an athlete anymore, my sessions have been great. My recovery has been phenomenal. My performance has just gone up and up and up, and maintained it. Even in 40-degree heat, we've had a heat wave over here in Cyprus, and my repetitions have just continued to stay high across all the sets, across all the workouts. It's incredible, guys. These results are absolutely phenomenal, absolutely legit. Everything, all the links in the science and the podcast you've talked about are in the description. I really hope this helps. I hope you've enjoyed it. Try it out for a few weeks. Get back to me. Let me know your results. That'd be amazing. And if you made it this far, please give me a like and subscribe. It only takes you a second, and it means the world to me and can really help me out with this channel. And I hope you join me back for the next video.